I want to talk about seeing the Bible in either black and white or color. Black and white or color. And this is a Jewish New Testament written by David Stearns. This is a complete Jewish Bible written by the same guy, but it's the whole thing, not just the New Testament. And before I move on, there are some interesting things about this. I'll read the back. Why is the New Testament different? Why is this New Testament different from all other New Testaments? Because the Jewish New Testament expresses its original and essential Jewishness. The New Testament is a Jewish book, by Jews, mostly about Jews, and for Jews as well as Gentiles. Its central figure, the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, was and is a Jew. Vicarious atonement, salvation, immersion, baptism, the New Covenant, and the very concept of Messiah are all Jewish. In sum, the New Testament is built upon and completes the Hebrew Scriptures. The Jewish New Testament brings out Jewishness in three ways. Cosmetically, by using neutral terms and Hebrew names, execution stake, not cross, Yaakov instead of James. Culturally and religiously, by highlighting Jewish features, Hanukkah, not the Feast of Dedication, Tzitzit, not fringe. Theological, by correcting mistranslations resulting from anti-Jewish theological bias. For example, at Romans 10:4, the Messiah is the goal at which the Torah aims, not the end of the law. Freshly rendered from the original Greek into enjoyable modern English by a Messianic Jew, a Jew who honors Yeshua as the Messiah of Israel. The Jewish New Testament challenges Jews to understand that Yeshua is a friend of every Jewish heart, and the New Testament a Jewish book filled with truths to be accepted and acted upon. At the same time, while reaffirming the equality of Gentiles and Jews in the Messianic community, it challenges Christians to acknowledge the Jewishness of their faith and their oneness with the Jewish Messiah. So, suggest that it kind of helps with some things, names and things like that, and restoring Jewishness. However, the point being with this is that black and white, when you use black and white film, there's one developer develops the whatever was exposed, and it turns the silver halide crystals to black, and then the fix after that makes it unsensitive to light and bleaches out anything that wasn't developed. But however, in color, you've got three layers, like cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, or cyan, magenta, and yellow. The primary colors or basic colors in film, and each layer, and you see that in printing as well. They print one color with one plate, then they print another color with another plate, and then they print the third color to create color images. And the Bible is on that same principle. Works on that same principle, in my opinion. And I'm going to show a couple of examples real quick of what that looks like. We'll start in Deuteronomy 18:18. That says, I will raise up a prophet from among their countrymen like you, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. That's talking about the Messiah, that he's going to send another one like Moses, like Moshe. And then you get more detail about it when you read Samuel, 2 Samuel, where the promise is to David. The promise is made to David that he shall have someone on the throne, and then you go to things like Psalm 22 and Isaiah 53, talking about the Messiah, and several other places that you can read the prophecies about Messiah. And then you have the quote New Testament that shows you that Messiah came, and it shows you the miracles and how he was Messiah. The whole point of the healings was to show that he was Messiah, and that's based on Leviticus 6, verse, we'll read 26 and 27. And the priest who offers it for sin shall eat it. It shall be eaten in a holy place, in the court of the tent of meeting. Anyone who touches its flesh will become consecrated, and when any of its blood splashes on a garment in a holy place, you shall wash what was splashed on. But anyone who touches it becomes consecrated. That's an important concept, because what happened with every single person that was healed with Yeshua? Everyone that touched him, the woman with hemorrhage, the lepers, all these sorts of things, all these people that were healed. Because if those, and why does that matter? Because the Leviticus especially tells you about the woman, the issue of blood. It tells you about the lepers and how they're supposed to be cleansed. There's 2 chapters on it, Leviticus 14 and 15, and probably even 16. No, 14 and 15 talk about it. And that leads me to another example as well, is that you read about the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet string, which you read in Leviticus 14, verse 52. Talking about a sacrifice that used cedar wood. And you also see that same thing come up in Numbers 19 when you look at the red heifer sacrifice, which also points to Messiah. Because, I think that's why he was wearing the scarlet robe. And he was given hyssop to taste. Hyssop was used to give him the sour wine. And cedar, I have no doubt that maybe he was hung on a cedar tree or whatever, something to that, but I'm sure it was there. I have no doubt it was there. But as you add each one of these things, like you add about originally that there was supposed to be a Messiah in Deuteronomy 18:18, and then you also see places where it talks about that someone that will always sit on the throne promised to King David in 2 Samuel, believe it was 1st or 2nd Samuel, where he makes the promise to David that he will always have someone on the throne. And then you see the prophets, that adds another layer. And then you see the New Testament that talk about Messiah and prove that that Yeshua, Jesus, was the Messiah by the things, how he healed people and how he did the miracles and all that stuff, because it's talked about in Scripture, in the prophets. And when you start to put all these layers together, that's where you start to see God in color. And there's several of those things. And just like you could follow through things like the burnt offering. The first burnt offering was done when Adam and Eve sinned, because they were clothed with the skin from the animal. And the burnt offering, they burned the animal, but they kept the skin. About that in Leviticus. He clothed them with skins, not with their own, what they had tried to do. And sacrifices go back through Cain and Abel. Look at why they were offering sacrifices, why Noah offered sacrifices, the clean and unclean. Goes back to, it's mentioned about Noah in Genesis 7:2, that you take, and you remember that because 7 clean animals, of all clean animals, and 2 of unclean animals. That's one way to remember where it is. You shall take with you of every clean animal by 7s, a male and his female, and the animals that are not clean, 2, a male and his female. That concept existed way back then. And how it talks about, that's the whole point and like the concept of Torah, separating the holy and the profane. That's what Torah was to do. It's a ketubah, a wedding contract, is because it separates the holy and the profane. It separates us from the world. You see several times in Scripture where it says, do not follow the way of the nations. Things like that. So hopefully this helps you to understand why the whole entire Bible is important. And it creates, it's like having different layers that you require for regular film or for printing, where you lay down the different colors one at a time. And that's what the Bible does. That's how the Bible brings God into color and ultimately 3D if you study deeper and deeper into it. So, shalom, shalom. May Yahweh bless and keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you and give you peace.